Hey guys, happy November! I want to welcome everyone who is new here this month, and I also want to thank you all for being my patrons. Thank you so much for sticking around and for allowing me to do what I do. It really means a lot to me. Alright, end of cheesy talk. In this episode, I want to share with you something that has been on my mind lately, and it's related to some comments that I've been getting on social media. They aren't negative comments or anything like that. They actually come from a good place. But they do, however, leave me a little bit sad and frustrated. And I just thought it might be interesting to dwell on that a little bit and share my thoughts with you because maybe some of you have experienced that too, or I don't know. I just thought it might be more fun talking about that than what I did over the weekend and sharing some boring details about my everyday life. So okay, so recently I started being more active on TikTok, and this is actually the place where I've been getting these comments. When I post a character illustration, sometimes people would comment things like, "What's your art style called?" Or, "I love this type of art style, I have to try it too." Or, "What type of art style is that?" And so on. You get the point. And I don't know if this sparks any emotion in you at all, but I do take it a little bit personally. Maybe I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't, but I do, so I don't know. I just thought I would share that with you. I've been drawing seriously for like 6 or 7 years now, and all of this time I've been working on my skills and building my art style. Just like many other artists, of course. I'm trying to create something somewhat original. It's not the most unique and unforgettable style you've ever seen, but it's just mine. If you see my work somewhere on the internet, you would probably recognize that it's me, right? And the reason these comments are a little bit frustrating is because what does it mean? What type of art style is that? It's like they neglect all of those years of effort to build this. It's like there's some catalog of art styles on Google that I just browsed through and picked one, and now people want to know what's it called, so they can Google it too, see what the rules are, and follow the steps to get the same results as me or something. And I mean, I know people don't realize these things when they write such comments. I know they come from a place of admiration for my work, and I really appreciate that. But I don't want people to see my art style and love it so much that they want to start drawing in that style too. Your style is something that's taken years to be built, and it's a constant work in progress. It's like a reflection of literally who you are, all of your thoughts and experiences. And yes, of course, we all get inspired by our favorite artists, but that's entirely different, and I have nothing against that. I will talk about it in a little bit. I feel like nowadays, by the way, I hate sentences that begin like this, but there's no other way to put it. I just feel that nowadays everything is turned into content that is consumed in a matter of seconds and then forgotten forever, or until the next time the internet shoves it up your face, maybe. I feel like we live in the era of life hacks. Everything is a life hack nowadays. Do this for 5 days and you'll get that result. Draw these 5 lines and you'll get a landscape or whatever. And I mean, I'm not against all of those things. They can be pretty cool sometimes, and you can actually learn new stuff and make your life easier for sure. I think we are getting too used to these simple formulas that we can follow to get the same results as someone else. But this is the absolute opposite of what art is supposed to be. Art is about experimenting, about individuality, pouring your heart into something, collecting experiences, moments, expressions in your life, and turning them into drawings or, other forms of art. It's not about following the steps of another artist's style, be it mine or someone else's, and then being content that you made something cool. I understand the impatience, I really do, and the desire to produce things that we are proud of and that we like, but I believe we need to choose the slower, but truer path, spending time developing your own thing, as slow and as tedious as that may be. It's just that not everything in this life is a life hack. My art style is not a TikTok trend that you can follow. Some things take time and effort and mistakes and tons of frustration before you can get some satisfaction from them at all. And by saying these things, I don't mean to raise myself above everyone else like I'm better or something. This is absolutely not my intention. I'm sure that most of these comments come from younger beginner artists who just mean them as compliments, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be correct about that. I'm just, thinking out loud here. But it doesn't change the fact that this is the community that we've been building lately, one that promotes following easy steps to get cool, temporary results, rather than putting in the hard work to build something original and long-lasting. I don't mean to sound like I'm blaming people for wanting to draw cool things or for following tutorials. After all, this is what I do on this page. I make tutorials. So I obviously have nothing against that. But what frustrates me a little bit is the impatience we sometimes have. And I'm there too. We want everything to happen right now, this very second. We have zero tolerance for mistakes or failure. And we would choose to get a little bit too influenced by someone else's style, for example, be it mine or someone else's, instead of accepting that we are just as good and capable of coming up with something original ourselves that will also be really good. So I guess in a way, we just need to believe in ourselves more. I don't know, I guess that's my conclusion from the whole thing. Because if you believe that you're good enough, if you believe that you're capable of creating something really cool, then you will pursue that instead of, trying to be like someone else. Anyway, this topic about art styles, plagiarism, and all that is something that I often think about. And obviously having a larger following on social media also means that I sometimes face that on a more personal level. But I rarely get the courage to talk about it, to be honest. I feel like with these things we have to be super careful and measure every single word, because we have to be really politically correct and careful not to offend anyone who might recognize themselves in those words. And I mean, I wouldn't want to be offensive anyway. If I speak about that, I want to do it in a rather informative way or educational, I don't know. But mostly I avoid discussing it because there are no hard rules, Like, what is the line between copying and getting inspired? There isn't one. It's just that gradually one becomes the other. And sometimes you might cross the line, other times you won't. And sometimes you will just lightly step on it with the corner of your shoe. But it's really hard to define what qualifies as copying exactly. I think getting inspired is absolutely okay. So as long as you can't exactly pinpoint where the inspiration came from, or if it's something really tiny and you see it and you're like, oh, something about this reminds me of someone, but I'm not exactly sure what it is, or something like that, I don't know. To be fair, the way I proceed with this problem is I always consult my artist friends. If I got inspired by someone, in the end, I would send my drawing to a friend and ask if it reminds them of someone else's art. I would even show them the inspiration so they can judge better. And if it does remind them, I go cry on the couch for a little bit and then I make alterations. No, but seriously, getting feedback from your peers is so helpful and can be a great reality check, although it may not feel that great at the time. So yeah, inspiration is obviously fine. Just be mindful about how far you take it. And I've said this many times before, but try to get inspired by as many people as you can. I think a huge part of the problem comes from getting inspired by one artist only, because then it's very easy to cross the line. And if I'm being honest, I have done that too. When I was first starting out, I so desperately wanted to paint like Loish for a while. I mean, is there even an artist who haven't had a Loish face? And there have been times where I've taken it too far for sure, thinking that no one would notice, which is so naive. In the beginning, I couldn't draw too well from imagination, but I had this really strong urge to make stylized illustrations, and when I tried by myself, it just didn't work, you know, it was trash. And the urge would get even stronger. It's like you're trying to say something, but your mouth wouldn't open. That's exactly how it felt to be a beginner artist. And then you go and you copy someone you love, and you get this massive feeling of satisfaction like, yeah, I made this really cool thing all by myself. I mean, it's not like I copied Loish so fucking hard, but you could definitely tell where the inspiration came from. So yeah, I have absolutely done that too. I'm not proud of it at all, but I'm not gonna pretend I am somehow better than everyone else and hide that. But I learned from it and I moved on. A lot of times, what helped me was getting comments on social media like, oh, cool art, it reminds me of Loish, or something like that, because they were polite enough and yet bringing you down to earth really quickly, reminding you that you are doing something a little bit wrong and you can definitely do better than that. And all that being said, there is one kind of copying that I do encourage, and that's for studies. I think it's very helpful to pick a couple of artists you admire or animation movies or whatever and copy some of the drawings. But I don't mean drawing your own character in that style, but actually copying the drawing one to one. I admit it's boring and it is annoying because you can't post that online, but it will help you a lot if you do it right. And I want to emphasize on the part about studying multiple artists or movies. Don't take one and copy their work, because then your drawings will start looking like theirs and you will just lose any individuality that you've managed to build over time. For example, I sometimes copy hands from Disney movies, and this is one of the assignments that I gave you in last month's video tutorial. And I find that incredibly helpful because some things just remain with you after a study session like that, and they change your future drawings and you're not even sure why, but it just happens and it's so cool. Alright, I think I'm gonna wrap this up here because I've been speaking for quite some time. I really hope I didn't offend anyone with the things I said, or that I didn't come across as rude or anything like that. It was absolutely not my intention. I just found it interesting to discuss how social media shapes us as artists and how it can affect our development negatively sometimes, other times positively, but that wasn't the focus this time. And I guess I didn't tell you how I've been doing in this episode. Maybe I should have started with that actually. Well, things have been good with me. I didn't finish Montober again, but honestly, I didn't have the expectation that I would anyway. Mostly, I just wanted to make the challenge for all of you because I know how much you guys like this every year. And I got so many things done last month and I was so incredibly productive, so it was totally fine for me that I didn't finish the challenge. I'm proud that I managed to make the 2 illustrations that I did anyway, so mission accomplished for me. I'm still in the process of figuring out a way to be more active on social media in a way that will leave me some time for a personal project. I already kind of spoke about that, but I'm trying to make these quicker illustrations to post the process of, but it just always takes so long. Every time I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna draw a quick 1-hour character and color it in really quickly, but then after some time I have the sketch and it looks alright, but I think to myself how much cooler it would be if I exaggerate things a little bit more and push the design a bit further. Because the first sketch is always at the cute but kind of generic stage. And it's just so much lost potential when I have a nice idea for a drawing. I just don't want to leave it at the generic stage, you know? So then I end up working on it a couple more hours and my day is pretty much gone. So I have to fight through that and figure out a way to really optimize the process. Maybe make a series of something. I just don't want these illustrations to be my main thing. I really don't. I keep whining about that, and it seems like I'm not doing anything, I guess, but I'm really trying. This character you've been watching me sketch is an idea I had for a main character that I want to tell the story of, or just build her world in drawings. She's supposed to study in an aviation school to be a pilot, and I think it would be so cool to draw her classmates, her teachers, maybe some planes and the school and all that. But this is not exactly TikTok content. I mean, these drawings and their process won't be catchy enough for social media. And besides, I really want to have the freedom to experiment with this project and push myself. And if I'm filming every second of it for TikTok, then I can't really do that. So yeah, that's why I need the colored illustrations too. And I need to just figure out a way to have time for both somehow. But I guess I'm working towards making that happen and finding time for a project like that. So that's good for now. I would be so excited to share the development of something like that with you, maybe even make some videos of the process and so on. But I'll take it slow, and maybe I will have to make some sacrifices when it comes to the type of social media content that I make. Maybe I will have to settle for more generic illustrations for a little bit to make time for this project, which would be much more fulfilling. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Okay guys, I'm gonna leave you here because I've been talking for a really long time. Thank you so much for joining me and for listening to my rambles. I hope you found them interesting anyway. Have a wonderful day ahead, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye!